السلام عليكم مشاهدينا أينما كنتم، مرحبا بكم. فرحان أني معكم اليوم. أول شيء يعني نعرف بنفسي، ياسر أمير غازي، عضو في نادي العلمي سيلك في جامعة وادي العلوم والتكنولوجيا. يعني هذا أول انترفيو حنديره في شهر رمضان الكريم. يعني أول انترفيو إن شاء الله نديروه يعني لقصة سيلك كونفرنس. وفي هذا الاول يعني فيديو حنديرها ان شاء الله مع اخي عبد الله با مشموش من السعوديه. مرحبا اخي عبد الله.
اهلا 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 وسهلا.
يعني هو والله الحمد لله، والله الحمد لله عليكم. يعني هو مختص، هو سوفت وير انجينير مختص في الاي اي اند في ار فيرتشوال رياليتي. معنا ايضا الاخ منير، عضو في نادي سيلك. معنا الاخ هشام.
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام. بدون اطاله اخوه حنبداو يعني الحديث، الانترفيو تاعنا. يعني حيكون مجموع على كل ما هو تكنولوجيا حديثه. يعني حنتكلم ايضا عن الستارت اب and different technology. So اخي عبد الله،
اهلا وسهلا.
يعني نتكلم يعني في القسم الاول حنتكلم على كل ما هو يعني تخصص تاعك، يعني software engineer.
Okay, excellent. First of all, my name is Abdullah Ba Mashmos. I am a software engineer. I studied in Multimedia University. Basically, I've been a programmer for a portion of my life, and then I start transforming or jumping from my career to another thing that I loved more, which is computer vision and virtual reality and game design. I wanted to express myself as a software designer, a software engineer, and an artist at the same time, and how can I integrate these? Alhamdulillah, during the past few years, I've developed so many applications, and I put them into the market, and I started my startup, which called Hakawati Studios. Alhamdulillah, it's progressing now. We have a year and 2 months, alhamdulillah, and it's going very well. We have very good partnership, and we are working with different clients, and we are building our own software to support educational or edutainment platforms. Yes, for software engineers are the person. Software engineer basically is the person who's responsible about creating the architecture or how the software should be built to make the whole picture, how the database or how the data is connecting with the servers, with the front end, and how to make sure the whole system could be integrated together. Programmers will develop, and software engineer will make sure that everything is set to be and optimized and can maintain high performance software. This is basically how software engineer could come up in reality.
Yes. هشام، بالك عندك تدخل ولا كشما question؟ هشام.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
تدخل جاي. I just only have one question about the domains where we can use the VR, and like what are the contributions of VR?
Okay, so virtual reality is actually one of the macro trends in the world. It's have been approached by many organizations to transform the technology or to transform the current solutions to a new solutions, and it's actually now in the early adopters stage. So for every business, it starts from early adopters, and then there is a market that join, and then it goes to mass. For example, the first people who have adopted the iPhone was people like tech enthusiasts like us. They like to use, they like to try, and they adopt this technology. And then after a while, the market, the whole market followed this trend, and everyone is using that. So VR, virtual reality, right now, it's still being played by gamers and by some early adopters from the market. There is like a huge market for that. There is industries like, for example, the educational, actually the highest industry right now, the highest industry of that have been rewarded by virtual reality is the gaming industry. Now, lots of high quality and AAA games have been developed for in virtual reality that makes you feel like you are inside the game, inside the environment. Some other markets that have been attracted in or have been famous in the AR industry during the past year is the cinema and filming industry, as you could wear the goggles or wear the headset and you could enjoy the environment and you could feel that you are in there and you could be part of that story. A lot of industries such as medical solutions as well have been developed, and the medical solutions are very expensive because it's very delicate and it uses lots of technologies like haptic touch that could give you a very responsive feeling of how the elements are, how the elements feels like. If it's a tissue, you could feel that the tissue is soft and it could have resistance. So these devices are very expensive and it's still under development. But this is one of the fields that goes actually into market. One of the fields which have been as well famous in the VR world is educational solution. There is lots of very good solutions in VR. One of them is called, I think, I forgot the name. It's a cube that you could wear glasses and then you could put the cube and you can see a lot of things around you, or you could I could describe it as time travel from the space that you are in right now to another space, and you can see different items. Just basically, just to keep everyone clear in the audience, there is like different terms like XR, MR, VR, and AR. Just to keep clear, when I'm talking about VR, which is the virtual reality, when you put the headset, such as this one, you put the headset and you could access an external world. You are physically in the space, but what you can see is something from another universe or have been created by developers. When you turn right and left, you can feel it. When you go and touch things around in the environment, you feel that you are touching these environment. So it's similarly like transforming or taking you from this space to another space. The other field, which is called augmented reality, it's to enhance the current space by adding objects. We all are familiar with the Snapchat. Snapchat, when you put your camera onto your face, then some filter will enhance your images or will enhance the environment, the real environment. So it shows you things which is not in the environment in the real space. So that's basically the main difference between these two fields. There's other fields that use different elements of technologies like sensors and items and reading, IR cameras and stuff like the mixed reality. But basically, when I'm talking about the virtual reality, I'm talking when you take yourself to another universe. For example, that a patient in front of you and you are trying to help him. And then, as I said, there is like Google Expedition, where you just put the headset and go somewhere, different places. They use Google Expedition for educational purposes. There is as well a trending market, which is training, like training flight simulation. You could wear the goggles and feel that you are inside the simulation and you are really flying an airplane, or like different simulation, like for to fix, to teach the employees, the new employees, how to fix something. They don't want to bring people to train them all the time. They just create an experience, and that experience could go on.
Yes,
this is basically.
Yes, and about the second field, I remember like we have an anecdote like together for the second field you told us about. Like you have the phone and you have a table and you have different like dishes, and the application starts naming one by one. Like I remember.
Yes,
You
that's
just
the
said it's Tokyo.
application. Yeah, that's the application
Yeah.
that we have developed in Tokyo.
Yes,
Um,
that's it.
yes, it's actually what we were trying to prove back then, that we could utilize tools like Rapid API and Cloudinary. Actually, they have provided us with
Cloudinary,
Cloudinary.
yes.
Yes,
Yes.
we were trying to push the project and make sure that many players could join in one session. This is what we have actually done.
Yes.
So if 3 people want to share and want to see each other in the virtual space, so everyone could use their phone and they can see something, and wherever I see, you can see it through your phone as well. This is what we are trying to prove. It's all the data is going to be updated on the cloud, and then updated in the or be rendered on your device on the exact location. Yeah, that's a very it's actually a very clever idea that we have integrated later on. The technology we have integrated into Hakawati to make sure that Hakawati could utilize many player, and many player could join into one session.
Yes, and this point, like it's really important, like developing ideas during hackathons, that all these ideas will be developed and integrated in like real startups and like
Yeah.
yes, and yes, and at this point, like if you wanna like develop like the relation between hackathons and startups for us, like
okay. Yeah, see, actually, Hakawati, as I mentioned earlier, it's 1 year and 2 months already. Hakawati have been created in a hackathon. We have tested. Okay, let me just go back one step backward. To create startups, like good startups, you have to understand the problem. People are facing problems in a daily basis. Like we have been speaking, Mr. Hisham, earlier. There is a problem right now with logistic, or there is a problem with e-commerce. People are facing a problem. When a problem is being created, then there is a solution, very, very, very creative solutions that you could tackle. You could create a new solution, and then you could, for example, the solution might have been created. For example, we have already taxi drivers. Why would we create Uber? But it have added a value to the consumer. It could go to your house and it could give you a higher security than the normal taxi driver. So there is a problem with people. People are facing a problem, and then you're creating that solution for this problem. So in hackathons, basically there is a theme, and they're telling you that there is a problem in this section. For example, there is a problem in education. On the current education with COVID-19, people cannot study right now. How can you create a solution? How can you break this gap and bring knowledge to people? So the difference between different startups is the idea, the value proposition that you are giving the final user. For example, in Hakawati, we're making education and playing. We're just mimicking or creating a world which is similar to Minecraft, but contain different stories and playing and element that could make something different. That's my belief, that education should be experienced, not taught. You should try it yourself, and then you're gonna learn it. You should search online, and then you're gonna learn it. That's my own opinion. I thought that this, and when I implemented in a hackathon, I've pushed my whole team just to focus on the main idea. What is, just regardless on how it would look, regardless on how things could come up together, how the UI should look, regardless of all of this fancy stuff, we focus on the problem. How can we solve this problem using this technology? We created the element, we pushed it to the judges, we showed them in a very nice way, very expressive way. We make sure that every one of them understood the problem. First state, we told them that there's a problem, and they all relate to that problem. Yes, not a problem that I'm facing, but every one of us is facing. You have brothers, I have sisters, we have all kids and we have nephews. We are all facing the problem. We felt the problem ourselves. So I'm linking the audience or the people to that problem, and then I spoke to them about my solution. My solution is 1, 2, 3. You could test it. You could see my solution, if it fits, how it fits, and how it could go into the market. So hackathon could push you in 3 days, 5 days, 6 days, depend on the hackathon. You could try ideas. You could try how can you integrate. And another way, you could try, for example, you could challenge yourself on creating something in 3 days. The best solution could be created in 3 days. Ask Mr. Hisham, ask Mr. Yasser, ask Mr. Munir. Everyone could create anything in 3 days. Search online. I remember Mr. Hisham, when we spoke before the hackathon, we were not having any ideas. We were just thinking about finding a solution, finding ideas. Just find an idea, search online, build anything, even use tools that could create something, but just make sure that these ideas could go and be illogical and create something with a value at the end. Either the value could be for your own self, or it could be value for other people. A value for your own self, for example, you have developed something within 3 days. And that could give you an encouragement that you can achieve it. It's actually, I love hackathons because the part that I'm gaining more than I'm making, the day or the week after the hackathon, I start developing and I finish apps and I finish things because I know for a fact that I can make. It's 3 days that you put yourself and then you create. It's like when you're making your assignment.
Satisfaction.
Yes?
It's like it will give you like a self-satisfaction, like I can do that like in 3 days.
Exactly. I've made it in 3 days. But like, how can I make it in, for example, in 5 or 10 days or 20 days? Actually, there's a saying that most startups come out of hackathons. You have 3 days or 4 days, or some hackathons go to a week, just to create a solution. And when you finish it, you are so encouraged to finish it, to go into market with that solution. It's yeah, I recommend everyone, especially like during college and even after college. I left college around 7 years ago. Till now, I'm just joining different hackathons, building hackathon for people. Just now, this week was the last week in Saudi Arabia. There was a homeathon. I was one of the mentors. There's like lots of achievements, and it's good for the whole community of creators, and it creates an ecosystem of creators who come together and make a new economy, to be honest.
Yes, thank you about your intervention. I want to ask you, did you visit Algeria before?
No, unfortunately, I have not. I wish to come to Algeria, inshallah.
I want to ask you the impact of your solution, Hakawati, in Saudi ecosystem. Did you bring your solution to schools or things like that?
Actually, we have developed the alpha version, and we are testing this in the like in a closed environment.
Sorry, before that, can we talk about your solution? A brief talking. What is your solution? What is Hakawati?
Hakawati is like a storytelling, a playable stories. You could enjoy different lessons within a story. It's actually have been the market target for us is Arabic people, and that's mainly we want to enrich the Arabic language. One of our missions that we are delivering, we want to make learning cool again. Because like so many people think that learning, or like people who are continuously learning, they are not okay. For example, some media sources, like for example television and some videos shows that people, educators or learners, are not really cool. They're stupid, especially in the Arabic world. On the movies, the old movies, they bring these people, who However, these people who make the economy, who create the future, they bring them in a bad image and they want to make them look bad. However, we want to shift this look, and we want to add curiosity to children and make sure that the children could express themselves, could go to unvisited places like space, and could learn about the space, could go back on time and see the dinosaurs. And so it's a trip of a number of kids. The characters, the main characters, Mulham and Nadir and Sundus, these are the three main characters. You could shift between the characters upon the story. Every one of them have different features, like this guy is very smart, this guy is very strong, this girl is very critical and she understands. So we have added different elements, and every one of them could add something to the story. And we are testing these with closed group to make sure that we could reach to that optimal level, and we are ready for market without bugs, with a good amount of content. On the current stage, we are removing bugs. We are creating a nicer animation because we want to make sure that it's not less than the content, the external content. For example, as our children are exposed to Disney, to Nickelodeon, to these kind of content, we want to not to reach to that level, because these studios have like hundreds and 200 or 300 developers, but to reach to a level which is equivalent or could be in challenging these studios. In Saudi Arabia, we have now Manga Studio, they have Asatir al-Zaman, which have, yes, it seems like Mr. Munir is watching that. Yeah. Yes, okay. It's an excellent, a very good example for us to go forward into that market. It's actually around 10 players or so in the kingdom who are going to this market.
It's the future of the narration of cartoon or maybe even films. We will be our actor. We will be our own actor to play that. Now, can you did you write a story about that, or it's a studio?
Which studio? Manga Studio?
Yes. Do you write your own stories, or you?
We actually have the main story. We are writing that. However, we are collaborating with different authors and publishing houses to create different stories that our team could go and visit. Excellent. So it's like kind of we are the explorers and we go and explore different places.
Yeah.
With a continuous story, with a game. Just I'm adding different element, which is like gaming, as some of my teams have game development background, and this could take them, put them into their game, and they could create games. They could go, they play. Yeah, there is lots of very good experiences that we have had during the past year. If you guys are familiar with Nintendo, there is a game called Animal Crossing.
Yes.
It's actually one of the inspiration of Hakawati. How could you develop, create, and make your islands and stuff? But for us, it's not creating. It's just going and traveling different spaces. But yes, the art style is our art style have been inspired by Animal Crossing, and we are actually really proud of this because Animal Crossing have been in the market for a longer period than us. It's around 10 years right now, but they're very excellent in what they're doing. It's okay to learn from them and go into market with similar or not similar, with learning from the best, to be honest.
Yes. Yes,
Abdullah.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's talk about the solution used in Saudi Arabia. So a startup, we have a lot of startup.
Yes, actually, it's actually being supported by the government. They want to bring startups actually internationally now. Like I've been reading in an article around 43 unicorns last year have been created.
Yes.
Unicorns are companies that have reached of an evaluation of over $1 billion. So, and it's a trend now that companies do not exceed 1 year and then go to that high evaluation. Because of the market need, they have satisfied a need that nobody have satisfied, and they have acquired IPs and that huge companies need. For example, they have created things that nobody have created. And actually, I advise all the developers. Actually, we're not really familiar with the market and how the market goes, and how can we protect ourselves. If we are going to market, we should literally protect yourself, protect your inventions, and it's not a problem to have a consultation. It's actually recommended to have a consultation with someone who knows about legal. If you know someone from your family who have a legal background, try to register your inventions and make sure that your invention, your ideas are being protected, and then you could resell it to other entities. This is very important.
Yeah, that's very important.
Yeah, I will go back to the question of Mr. Yasser. The government actually, mashallah, tabarakallah, they're encouraging different startups to go into market. Now the highest evaluated company in Saudi Arabia have been is Marsool, if you are familiar with that. Marsool is a peer-to-peer service where you could just register in the application, and someone could ask you to deliver something for them. You just go to the shop, buy it for them, and go to the third party and give it to them, and you will receive your money you receive your money, and you receive like 15 riyals or 18 riyals, 25 riyals above that amount for the service that you have delivered. That application have been evaluated right now. The last time I've seen the evaluation, it was around $286 million, and which is like above 1 billion Saudi riyals. This is the highest Saudi evaluated company. If you think of it from a governmental point of view, when you create these kind of entities, when you create these kind of small businesses, it's not that huge business that needs lots of resources. The highest thing that you need is actually servers and cloud computing solutions to operate and make sure that your code is very good and efficient. Then you could push this code, and the company itself could acquire more and more and grow and can reach to this high evaluation. While on the other hand, the companies like Toyota, with over 100 years of market presence, they lag behind these companies, these small companies. So from a governmental point of view, acquiring as much, for example, data, or acquiring as much huge companies, like now the highest evaluated company, I think either Alibaba or Amazon or Apple or Google, these are like just sitting on the top of the world. Having such companies, high evaluation, would increase your economy in a huge way. And yes, making the country itself a hub for startups to come. For example, now all of us want to go to Silicon Valley because you can find Google. You could make deals with Google. You could make deals with Amazon. You could make deals with all the upcoming startups in Silicon Valley. But Saudi Arabia want to attract all the creative minds in the Middle East and outside the Middle East to come and invest and bring their ideas into Saudi Arabia, and then build it together. Help them to make it here and build it here. So it's a very good approach to make sure that these businesses could go along with the government ideas, with the government goals and Vision 2030.
Like, it's really important, like, to build solutions together, especially for different ecosystems. And at this point, like, building solutions like with different ecosystem, I have like a question that comes to my mind often. Like we make an example. I have my own startup. I have my I have my 20 developers, and we're building like solutions to the Algerian ecosystem. Okay.
Amazing.
And okay, my solution is working perfectly. Now how can I export my solution to another ecosystem? Like, is there like a special strategy
Okay.
or a different strategy to do that?
Okay. First of all, you need to understand where is your market, what is your market, and how can you go into different markets. For example, your market is targeting citizens, for example, let's say, or your market targeting a segment in the country. First of all, if you want to go and tap into untapped market in a different country, for example, you should understand their systems, their community, and visit and try to set it up. See if they have the same problem that, as I mentioned earlier, problem is the main thing. You have to make sure that that country or that community have the same problem. If they have the same problem, then you could read more into Uber case. Uber have actually in the expanding or their growth phase. They have started, I think, in France, and then to the US, I think, then to UK, and then they start visiting countries. To operate Uber is, I think, way easier than to operate huge systems. But in their case, they used to hire someone, or they used to hire a legal person. They used to hire someone, I think, I'm actually I've read it a while ago. That's why I'm not remembering. They used to hire 2 or 3 employees in every country or in every city. And these employees, I think one from HR or public relation to bring drivers to the country, to the city, and then the other one is a legal entity to make sure that their papers are very legal, and they could make sure that their presence are legal.
Yes.
And then the employees that they need, to be honest, is drivers. Their system is already present, and everything is present. Yeah, that's in Uber case. Uber in China was totally different. They had to make sure that they have a local partner. I think they have been approached by Baidu, and they joined with Baidu to make sure that they could challenge their rival, which is called Didi in China. Didi is the biggest. The biggest taxi or like delivery or like car delivery service, and actually they were acquiring around 98% of the market share of this delivery or like car services or taxi services. And when Uber came into market, they operate in small cities or different cities. I think they didn't start in Beijing; they start in different cities, and then they have been in partnership with Baidu, and then Baidu helped them access the market and make sure that their presence are very well. For example, for you, Mr. Hisham, you could see if there is other entities need this solution and how could you collaborate with them. For example, if you're gonna come to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, if there is entity that could collaborate with you and make your life easier in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, or you yourself could look for partners. It's actually, I'm always advising developers, when we are very intelligent, very smart, we try to protect whatever we have, our baby. I can call it like our baby. We try to protect our baby. But however, this so much protection, so much protection will not take it to market. So if you don't have the capital to create something, partner up with someone. It's not a problem, but make sure that you are in legal state. For example, you have a lawyer that could make sure that he could read between the lines and can protect you in that manner. Yeah. So, and I would literally advise you to read more business cases. It's called like business cases. Read about Uber, how Uber could transfer to other countries, and how could they operate in different countries. Try to read different cases about companies or startups which is similar to your startup, and how they migrate their solution from one country to another country. And I would like to advise you on make sure that you acquire the biggest shares in their in your area, and prove yourself. Then when you transform to another country, you could be a big. There is one case called there is a company which is one of the biggest companies on messaging services. The messages that would be sent to you, and it's the header would be, for example, from the telecom company, and the telecom company are sending this message. One of the companies called Uniphonic. They grow into other markets. They grow to Egypt, to the Gulf area, but then they felt that they're losing the market share, and now they're making sure that they're in a good shape in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Because the kingdom, if they satisfy the whole market in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, then they could go into different markets. But if they can't satisfy the market, then going into different markets might or might not be a good idea. If it might be a very good idea, it might not be a good idea. You should study this and try to understand which one should be a very good idea for you. Yeah, but a very good thing to read more about, to read more business cases. You're gonna learn from that.
That's it.
We passed the subject. We changed the subject now. We want to talk about coronavirus. We want to know if AI that have an impact in the coronavirus or not. The research, many of the programmer and researcher, they believe the AI that will have an impact to fight this disease.
Actually, there is a website that I usually visit to check different data sets to make sure that I am exposed to what's going around, and especially like this website is open for all researchers, and it brings huge statistics on the coronavirus. Right now, it's actually the hot topic in the market is coronavirus, and how could we fight coronavirus. So that website brings lots of data of the cases, things, the studies that have been done on that matter, and definitely machine learning and deep learning could achieve things, or like can accelerate the learning from, for example, different vaccines and different states of the coronavirus. I'm not an expert on this, but I believe that as long as data and as long as researchers on that field who have good knowledge in medical fields, they could achieve something. It's actually AI. Sometimes some people could perceive AI as a tool that will take over the ground earth. But on fact, actually, AI could help you accelerate learning. Actually, at the beginning, it would not actually accelerate learning. We will see like the learning is very slow. But if you keep training the models, if you keep training the models, it will make a huge impact, and especially using supercomputers, TPUs, tensor processing units. And yeah, it could achieve whatever the humans can't achieve. Now all of humanity is against coronavirus, and make sure that this is the cure could be found as fast as possible. Yeah, actually, and I believe AI could play a huge role. And I think that there's some researchers are doing their best developing tools, developing models that could find solution and can customize solution in that matter.
أخ عبد الله،
تفضل.
يعني نتكلموا على يعني ال experience and background. يعني for startuper، يعني يعني مجموع، يعني إنسان يحب يعني يعمل ستارت اب. يعني هل يعني لازم يكون عامل يعني MBA، ولا يعني تكون عنده مكتسبات يعني في الفينانس and management. Yes.
To be honest, لا, you don't need to have an MBA. You don't need any. You don't. If it's not a one-man show. As I mentioned earlier, you could make partnership. You could hire people. If you don't have the money, make partnership. If you need to learn something, there's tools like Udacity, Coursera. If you need to understand something, read about it. Go to YouTube. I think most of everything could be learned through YouTube and online sources. You don't need these knowledge, but however, if you know this knowledge, you could read the numbers. For example, financial education, if you know the financial education, if you get the numbers, if you get the balance sheet, the income statement, the cash flow, you could read the numbers. You could project on how, or you could read the projections that the financial experts have given to you. You will learn, for example, the legal part of the startup. How can you make sure that you could protect yourself? These are some subjects that you would learn in the MBA. As I said, the real learning comes from experiencing. As I mentioned earlier, hackathons makes you experience, not learning. And startups makes you experience. You could start up something, and then, as I mentioned, you could ask people for help. Ask partnership. For example, if you have a cousin who's good in financial, ask him, I need this and this and this. Could you help me, for example, as a part-timer? Or could you help me, and you're going to be partner in this project? You could use another tool, which is royalties. If my project, if I sold this project, or if I got this amount of money, or if I got an income, I will give you 1% out of it. These are called royalties. How could you give them something? You could. There is a case which is very interesting case. A person who have gained around $80 million in only 8 months. That's a very interesting. That's a very interesting case. It's called R&R. It's a very short and very interesting case of a smart person, and his risk was almost zero. All the partners that he have acquired, he told them, I'm gonna give you royalties of whatever I'm gaining. I'm gonna give you 1%. Whatever I'm gaining, I'm gonna give you 2%. Whatever I'm gaining, I'm gonna give you 5%. And he covered everything, and he gained around 60 or 70% of the whole thing, because he brought people together. Brought people together. I bring people. Okay, you're gonna take this. You're gonna take this. You're gonna take this. His risk is zero, and these people have the knowledge already. This guy have the financial knowledge. This guy have already the logistic facilitation. So, okay, I'm offering them, they're operating in that, and I'm offering them, if you're going to help me, I'm going to give you 1, 2, and 3. Read the case. It's called R&R. I forgot his name. I'm sorry for this. The case happened in US, and I forgot the name of the person, and he was one of the students, one of the graduate of Harvard Business School. Very smart guy, very intelligent guy. You could sense this 80 million in 8 months. That's amazing. It actually was his biggest success. But yeah, bring people together. As you could listen more to Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, and how he brought different minds, intelligent minds together, and made that huge empire. It's okay, as I'm saying, it's okay. Just make sure that your legal part is good. You write down everything is written. Make contracts between you and your partners. Make sure that everything is settled. and it's okay to work with other people. They call it in business bootstrapping. You could go with the minimum. You don't consume anything of your capital, for example, or you consume 10% of your capital, but you don't waste, for example, the equity on people to invest in your project. But however, you're asking people to join you, for example, for 1% or 2%. It's people would take it. For example, if the business reached to a point that it had been evaluated by 1 million, 1% of 1 million is around 10,000 reals, right? 10,000, I think. Is that correct? Calculator.
Actually, we can create nothing alone. We need a smart team to do a big thing.
Yes. بعد هشام ما عندكش إضافة ولا؟
For إضافات, no.
Maybe some advice to young people who want to create their own startup or something like that.
Yes.
Okay. Well, actually, my advice. Okay, I'm gonna tell you an advice that Mr. Mohammed Yusuf Naghi, one of the sponsor of BMW and Rolls-Royce in Saudi Arabia, have told us. Always learn, keep your mind open and learn in all the fields. Try to attract learning and try to make sure that you're continuously learning and trying. There's different phases in our life. Sometimes we make ourselves better at that phase, and then we perform. We make sure we learn and then perform continuously. There's a saying that called sharpening the saw. I think most of you are familiar with this in the 7 Habits of the Highly Effective People by Stephen Hawking. Yeah, I think I'm bad with names. It's okay. Okay, so there is a part of it, sharpening the saw. So it's make sure that your knowledge on the point, always keep on learning, and as I said, as I mentioned, be open to people, speak with people, explore ideas. These are very amazing things, and there is a human capital, there is a money capital, and there is a human capital. For some people, they know so many people, they know so many. There is the knowledge capital, of course. These are all very high things to invest yourself in. Just be humble, always keep on learning, try to learn as much as you can, and yeah, at the end, do not stay on that cycle and learn, continue learning without doing. Go into places that force you in doing, like hackathon, or make yourself challenge you, between you and your friends, challenge yourself and make things, create things within a week, just to optimize your way of thinking. Yeah, just something
like going out of the comfort zone of ourselves.
Of course, yes. Go into the production zone and perform. But yeah, learn. Just remember, sometimes we forget ourselves and start creating, and we forget that the whole world is being optimized, and the whole technology is changing. Yeah, now we are facing this technology. Last year is totally different than the technology in this year. Just stay hungry and keep on learning.
Thank you very much.
عبد الله بارك الله فيك على هذه المقابله اللي يعني
شكرا لكم
قبلتها، يعني بارك الله فيك، يعني ومرحبا بك يعني في اي وقت، مرحبا بك في اي وقت في الجزائر، يعني البلد الثاني تاعك.
ان شاء الله يا رب، ان شاء الله يا رب. Actually, thank you for the invitation for Junction, but I couldn't make it because we hosted the AI Artathon here in Saudi Arabia. But inshallah, let's keep on creating this. I love this initiatives. MashaAllah, tabarakallah, you're doing something amazing in Algeria, and yes. Believe it or not, you're gonna make something huge in Algeria. You can't believe how many people that have been coming up from these technology teams and technology hubs, and made things that could go beyond the physical borders of the country. And keep on doing this, host events, make events, go into hackathons, go outside of your country, go to Japan, go let other people to get to know you, كمان in your country and outside your country. Let universities to get to know you in Europe. Do it, even if you think it's you're not good enough. It's okay. I'm not good enough today, but tomorrow I will be good enough.
Yes,
it's okay. Yeah, learn. Keep on learning. Keep on doing, and
Yeah, and Abdullah, if you remember when we were together in Junction X Tokyo, we were talking about hosting Junction X in Algiers, and we told you like we will invite you when we will organize it. Like it was only talking, but now it's real fact. You see.
Wallahi, you don't know how much happiness you give.
يعني نذكر انه يعني اللي حيشوف الفيديو هذا ان يعني تلاقينا مع الاخ عبد الله في اليابان في جنكشن اكس طوكيو، وين كانت it was a great experience. يعني وللاشاره ايضا اخ عبد الله انه الجنكشن اكس الجيرز يعني مازال ما نظمناش، يعني مرحبا بك.
Post cancelled because the coronavirus. Then we hope to make it in September or December.
Exactly.
إن شاء الله يا رب، إن شاء الله.
Exactly. أخ عبد الله بارك الله فيك.
Thank you very
الله
much.
يسعدكم.
Thank you so much. إن شاء الله في لقاءات أخرى إن شاء الله.
يا رب يا رب إن شاء الله يا رب. إن شاء الله. إن شاء الله we would love to see you here إن شاء الله يا رب. COVID-19 will end إن شاء الله, and I hope to see you all in Saudi Arabia إن شاء الله.
إن شاء الله يا رب. آمين.
يا رب يا رب يا رب.
آمين يا ربي. بارك الله فيكم، يعطيكم الصحة أنتم اللي تبعتونا. يعني المناسبة إن شاء الله أخرى ديروا فيديوهات أخرى مع يعني شخصيات معروفة يعني في الاي تي والتكنولوجيات الجديدة. بارك الله فيكم. شكرا.
إن شاء الله إن شاء الله. يلا مع السلامة.
Thank you.
Bye bye.